And it's Skybound with the Talking Joe guys. Everyone calm down. We're here to talk comics, and it's Skybound with the Talking Joe guys. Everyone calm down. We're here to talk comics. Skybound. Hey, it's me, Mark, and you are listening to Talking Joe. Today, we will be talking to artist of Cobra Commander, Andrea Milana. And he's joining us live from the Energon universe. Previously, he has toured in the world of Impact Winter, Rook from Image, and Dahlia in the Dark from Mad Cave. But yes, of course, and most importantly, he's been doing 5 issues of amazing comics in the form of Cobra Commander. And I will be talking to him today, but not alone, because I will be joined by the one, the only, the real American Tim Finn.
Hello, Mark, and hello, listeners and viewers. Let's bring in our guest.
Here we go. It's Andrea. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Mark. Tim, nice to meet you.
Great to have you on. And amazingly enough, you were telling us just before we started that this is your first ever interview. So it's amazing that we're breaking brand new ground here on Talking Joe.
Yeah, it's the first ever.
So that's first, not just for Cobra Commander or not just English language, but first interview for any of your professional comics work?
Well, I had I wouldn't call it an interview, but it was with a friend also. So yeah, this is the first interview at all.
Cool. Well, we feel lucky to have you on the show and to be your first interview.
Perfect. And you're joining us from Rome?
No, I'm in Sicily right now.
Sicily? Is that where you're living these days?
Yeah, I'm living here 3 years. I'm 3 years here. So because my girlfriend is from Sicily.
Are you in a studio, a room where you draw? Are you in a different room? What's around you right now?
Well, I draw here in a kitchen. I know it's a bit awkward, but I'm surrounded by my comics and yeah, the kitchen and a bunny.
A bunny, a rabbit?
Yeah, a rabbit.
What's the rabbit's name?
Platone, like the philosopher. Yeah.
Well, I am in Boston on the East Coast of the United States, and Mark?
Brighton on the south.
Oh,
Kingdom.
okay.
So, yeah, so for whatever reason, I thought you were in Rome. Is that where you grew up, or is that where you were before?
Yeah, I was born in Rome. I lived in Rome for my first 20 years. And then I studied the fine arts in Urbino when I met my actual girlfriend. And right now I'm with her in her hometown.
I've been to Sicily. It gets very hot in the summer.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that university? Can you talk about learning fine arts? What classes did you take? What kinds of things did you draw and study? Can you tell us about that? It's a 4-year program?
It was a 3 years program, but yeah, I did 4 years because I liked it so much. I well, I studied the techniques, the I don't know in English how it's called, a fresco, if it's the same. Well, I studied.
Alfresco, is that paint? I think in art history, is that painting on a wet wall so that it
Yeah,
dries?
yeah,
Okay.
it's that technique. Yeah, right. Well, actually, I've learned a few techniques because I've studied painting. I studied photography, psychology of an image. Well, I don't remember now all the things I've studied because it's been 10 years. I'm 30 right now, so it's been 10 years.
Presumably, you drew a lot: figure drawing, portraits, still life, landscapes, not just painting but drawing.
Not landscapes. I don't know why they didn't makes us study that.
When in your final year, did you have a final project or a final show or a final portfolio? And what was that work?
Well, I had a series of digital paintings because that was my medium. It was kind of useless to paint on a real canvas if it was not what I wanted to be in the future, what I wanted to do in the future. And I wrote a small book about the black paintings, the dark paintings of Goya. I loved all his path through his illness and the transformation of his paintings from the beginning to the last ones.
Are there other artists in art history whose work you particularly admire or studied?
Oh yeah, well, Van Gogh, of course, but the one I like the most besides Goya was Giovanni Boldini. I don't know if you had in mind what he is painting, but he was kind of good.
When you were studying your art degree, was that with the view to then going into comics?
Oh, no, I haven't studied comics actually. After my degree, I started to making self-published comics with a few friends of mine. I tried to enter the Italian publishers, but it wasn't for me. They had a focus on the Italian style, you know, like Sergio Bonelli, Tex, that kind of stuff. And I hadn't received many offers, so I couldn't make a living out of drawing comics in Italy. So I've tried with the American publishers, and I succeeded, fortunately.
Where were you first seeing comic books, or either Italian graphic novels, albums, or work from America? How old were you? Where were you seeing these? And what characters or stories were you first reading?
My first actual comic with a writer was Dahlia in the Dark with Matt Cave.
I want to hear about that. I was asking,
Oh,
not that you made professionally, but that you read. that you first
Oh.
were exposed to?
Oh, sorry. Well, I was in high school actually. I've read, of course, Hellboy by Mike Mignola, and I think you can see by my art style a bit. Italian comics like the ones from Sergio Toppi or Dylan Dog. Then I've read Oblivion Song and others from Skybound. But the first were actually from, oh, no, well, mangas. Of course, mangas were the first comics I've read since I knew Dragon Ball. I don't know why I didn't think about it. So Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto when I was really young. Was in middle school, like 12, 13 years old.
I can see the manga influence in Dahlia in the Dark, particularly in the faces.
Yeah.
Andrea, where did you find manga and work by Toppy and Hellboy? At a store, at a library? Were your friends giving these books to you?
Well, I've seen the anime on TV regarding mangas, and when I was tired of uh, the television episodes of their pacing, I don't know if I can say that. I had to wait one day for 20 minutes of episode. Yeah, so I discovered scans and the comics, and I said, oh, why I had to wait this long, and I started reading. Then I discovered the online scans, but I continued uh, to buy the comics, and then only then I discovered that there was a whole world, like the French comics, the Italian comics, and the American ones.
Was there a store near where you lived, a bookstore or a comic book store?
Yeah, I don't know if it's only an Italian thing, but there was a Star Shop. It's a chain. There were several stores in Italy,
Okay.
but they pretty much sold mangas.
So yeah, if we sort of maybe jump ahead, when I was looking at Cobra Commander and then looking at your history in comics, I was quite surprised by how few there had been prior to that, because it looked so professional, so finished, looked like someone with a lot of experience in drawing comics already. So what was your route to getting professional work and leading to working at Skybound on Cobra Commander?
Ah, well, my professional story starts 2 years ago with Dial in the Dark, but before that, well, I had just a few proposal with a bunch of pages, a bunch of random pages, but I self-published 3 comics when I was 19 years old, almost, and but they didn't go as planned. It was really really rough, really unprofessional, because I learned from the comics I've read how to do comics. Then I started studying it seriously, but the Italian comic school didn't but I didn't like them because like the uh, the publishers, they were too focused on one specific style. But I wanted to explore. I wanted to draw something that was between manga style, American style, and French style.
How did you find Mad Cave, or how did Mad Cave find you?
Well, I find the manager. As simple as that. Um, I am not very confident in my drawings. I don't think I'm this good. I don't think I deserve also to draw things like Cobra Commander. I have still a lot to learn. Yeah, I have a long way to go uh, to think myself as a professional. I don't know. It sounds weird, but so if it wasn't for this manager, I wouldn't ever come in the professional comics industry because I thought I wasn't ready. I still think I'm not ready.
So you found someone who worked for Mad Cave and you sent samples?
No, I found someone who was in touch with um, some Mad Cave writers, and I made a few character designs, and I started right after.
How long? So Dahlia in the Dark was published as 6 issues.
Yeah.
How long did you spend drawing those 6 issues?
Well, I spent a lot of time, but just because I had to color myself. So I think I made like 1 ink a day and two colors a day. So a whole year went on.
Okay. How long after Dahlia in the Dark did you hear from Skybound, and how did you connect with Skybound?
Okay. Well, right after Down in the Dark, my manager found another job with another publisher, and it's still ongoing. It's been announced. Its name is called Propaganda with Matt Madney. But after like 1 month, I received this mail from Amanda from Skybound that said that asked if I was interested in drawing this one shot called Impact Winter. I took the occasion. Can't say I took the occasion.
The opportunity.
The opportunity. Oh yeah, I took the opportunity and I started to draw immediately. I loved Skybound comics, so it was amazing to receive that mail.
Wow. So that issue, I guess, was a success, and that led to conversations about Cobra Commander.
I haven't. Well, I started to draw Impact Winter, but I hadn't still finished it. That they requested me some character designs for Cobra Commander and asked if I was interested in drawing it too. So there was this period of time in which I was drawing Propaganda, Impact Winter, and I was doing the character designs for Cobra Commander.
Was that 7 days a week? Were you not taking a break, or were you switching from one day to the next?
No, it was 7 days a week.
Oh,
was awful, but I loved it. I'm
how long, how many pages is propaganda?
It's 5 issues,
Okay.
20 pages each.
Okay. How familiar were you with Cobra Commander and Cobra and G.I. Joe and Cobra Law before this?
I didn't know almost anything, I have to admit. The first time I heard of G.I. Joe was through the, I think, 2010 movies, 2011. But all the stuff that came before, like the toys, the animated series, was from the 80s, and I'm from 93, so I didn't know anything about that. I felt that, well, when they told me there was this opportunity, I started to do some research about this, and I found out it was a massive universe. It was something very important in the American culture, and I didn't know that at all. So I was afraid to touch this monster. Oh my God, I have to draw this and I don't know anything about it. So I started to see the animated series, to research on the lore.
Was Skybound sending you images or making suggestions on where to research?
Oh yeah, of course. All the well, they sent me a lot of references, even because there were several versions of each character, so they needed to specify which one was the one I had to draw.
Now that you have done all of this research and you have seen so many different versions of G.I. Joe, is there one version or era of G.I. Joe from before that is most interesting to you, or does it all sort of overlap and blur together?
I think the one I loved the most was the animated series, because there was that little weird taste in it. I don't know if you know what I mean, if you understand. It wasn't serious, all serious. There was also a comic side of it.
Yeah, the villains are they're dangerous and they're evil, but they're not that dangerous and they're not that evil.
No, Cobra Commander seemed kind of goofy sometimes.
This poster, which
Okay.
we saw at the big comic book convention in San Diego in July,
Mm-hmm.
this was the first image that fans saw,
Okay.
and also fans were first shown a 5-page preview from
Okay.
issue 1.
Yeah.
Are these the first things that you worked on for Cobra Commander?
No. Once I've drawn this, I already drawn a lot of character designs. I think also all the first issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I was quite ahead. Well, I didn't draw Zarana.
And I had a question with sort of with your, your English is very good. You might be modest, you know. Your English is very good, but
Thanks.
how does it feel having to work from a script, you know, written in English?
Well, sometimes I need to, well, a very few times I need to use a translator, but just because maybe they use some terms or some, I don't know, idiomatic phrases. Okay, that I've never heard, but I feel quite confident in drawing from an English script.
By the time you were drawing the 5th issue of Cobra Commander, how did you feel working with Skybound, working from an English script, working with these characters as compared to the 1st issue?
Well, I don't know how to answer. Because I felt the same. They always treated me well, so for real, there wasn't so much difference between the first and the last.
We have interviewed artists before who have said it takes a few issues of drawing characters for them to get used to the characters, to sort of know them inside and to memorize their costumes and to maybe know sort of how they would pose or stand or act. And I was curious if by the final issue you felt more confidence than when you had drawn the 1st issue. But maybe it's just as difficult and scary all the way through.
Well, they were all so much detailed. So every time I had to draw them, it was hard.
Okay.
In the first and in the last, until the last.
I wanted to ask specifically about
okay, Cobra Law. Okay,
Cobra Law.
This design.
It has only ever been depicted. It has only ever been shown in one place, and that's just the animated movie. It was never in any episodes before the movie. It was never in any episodes after the movie. I mean, there have been a few toys of a couple of the characters, but I mean specifically this location, this environment, these buildings, these creatures, these pods. So is your reference coming from just the animated G.I. Joe movie, or are you given other images? How much of it are you inventing for the comic?
Well, it came almost totally from the animated series, but they suggested me to take some references from fungus, lichens, to take inspiration from them. And I like the idea. The only thing I had to say to ask to Annalisa, to because I take inspiration even from Lorenzo De Felici's work. So I had to ask Annalisa to color it a bit different from Oblivion, because I took his style and I didn't want to take his colors too. So it was too similar. There was that risk to be too similar to Oblivion.
This Oblivion song, it's sort of got this alternate universe which has got like all these organic growths and things in a similar concept to Cobra La in some ways, I guess.
Yeah, in some ways.
It while we're looking at that page on screen, is this little guy on the screen who's farming? I wondered, Did you have a particular reference in mind for him, a particular character?
No, I just like the idea of this farmer who used this like uh, tentacular stuff to harvest fungi. Plural is fungi.
Fungi.
Well,
Yeah.
the moment they asked to think about how Kabbalah would appear, I started to imagine a bunch of stuff like I don't know, like this massive silkworms stacked used to make fabrics out of it. All this I don't know, all these things that surrounded these drawings. Okay, these people, how they lived, how they eat.
So after you have drawn very recognizable Cobra and GI Joe characters, and after you've drawn this very recognizable but not widely seen Cobra Law location, you draw a transformer.
Yeah.
Which is a different challenge. Can you talk about drawing a giant robot, or drawing a giant robot in a comic with normal sized people?
Well, it was a challenge for sure, even because I didn't expect to find Megatron in the script. They didn't tell me.
Okay.
So that's why I've sent you this image, because the first time I knew I knew that there were Transformers involved in the story. It was a whole big universe, shared universe. It was reading the script. I didn't even know Void Rivals was connected.
Wow.
I found out when I read it.
Surprise!
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was a challenge because I've never had the opportunity to draw giant robots, you know, and I didn't know how to approach the path. I don't know how to approach the drawing, you know.
Part of what you're saying might be the angle, the point of view, the actual composition, or part of you, are you describing the size and scale, that Cobra Commander is this big and Megatron is this big? Part of what you're describing might be that the robots are geometric and detailed. They're not organic.
Yeah, I'm talking about the fact they're not organic, so they have to be very precise, and I have a problem with that. I have a problem to draw something this that has to be this precise, because if it isn't as perfect as I thought about it, I don't like it. I had to restart from scratch. This model I've drawn, I take inspiration from a Japanese figure that transforms from the gun to Megatron. It was I don't know if I can say if it was a realistic transformation, but it was very very sophisticated toy.
I wonder if that's the masterpiece edition. There was a toy 10 years ago that in America, there are no longer Megatron toys that are guns. Megatron is a tank, because in America, maybe kids shouldn't play with guns when they play with toys. But I remember that maybe 10 or 15 years ago in Japan, there was a very expensive, big, fancy, precise Megatron gun that changed into a very fancy, precise Megatron robot.
I don't remember the name, but I think you're right. I think that was the model.
So if you were not aware of G.I. Joe and Cobra before signing on to draw this series, were you aware of Transformers?
Yeah, of course. There were a lot more products that arrived in Italy, even when I was young. So I did know Transformers. There were several animated series when I was in middle school. I remember like the Transformers Armada. I don't know if
we got that series here. It's not my favorite.
No, not even mine. But I remember there was one of the first I'd seen as a kid. So it's not my favorite.
Had you played with the toys? Had you seen the movies?
I think the first Transformers toys were from well, here we have a different name. They were animals. They were not like vehicles. Beast Wars, exactly.
Beast Wars.
Yeah.
I wondered, just speaking about the sort of Transformers, when you were drawing the issue 1 cover, and I put on I wondered, the gun that was in Cobra Commander's hand, were you thinking at the time that might be Megatron, or was it a hint, a mystery, or?
That was a hint. That was a hint. Yeah.
Because I went through the whole series thinking to myself, is Cobra Commander's gun Megatron? Are we going to be surprised at some point? But it never happened.
No, it was just a hint. It was, yeah, even the arc behind him was suggesting that we're Transformers in the series.
So in your artwork, Mark, if you go back to that previous spread with Megatron or any of the colors pages before color, Andrea, after you draw in ink on a computer, you also add these gray tones, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you were working on Dolly in the Dark before you added color? Can you talk about your working relationship with Annalisa Leone in terms of your gray tones as a step between the inks and the colors?
Okay, it was the second time I've worked with a colorist, so I wasn't very I wasn't sure about the approach to the colors they had to the colors. So I asked them if this was a problem to add gray tones, because if I had a shadow, a particular shadow in mind, I wanted to tell them, or just to separate the planes, the levels, the layers. Yeah, that's the second issue.
So the gray tones are on a different layer than the inks, right? So the color artist can isolate the gray tones and turn those into a specific color?
Exactly. Or also to say, hey, this is the foreground, okay? So it must be darker than the rest.
Was there any when you signed on to draw Cobra Commander,
Mhm.
Was there any discussion that you would also color the series, or was it definitely that you were just drawing?
No, that was I was just inking.
Okay.
I didn't even ask when they said there was this possibility to have Annalisa Leoni to color it. I said, okay, that's fine. That's good. And I chose these 2 pages from the second issue because I wanted to point out one thing. I made a lot of mistakes drawing Cobra Commander, like particular particulars missing, like how to a bracelet.
Oh, his cuffs, the end of his sleeves,
Yeah, like that kind of.
like this right here.
No. Just hold on a second. I have DeepL right beside me, just to help in this case. Okay, I had I made some mistakes, like sometimes I forgot to draw wristbands or something like that. That, but sometimes I made some mistakes on purpose. Like in these 2 pages, if you look closely to the last panel, you'll see Nemesis grabs the man's forearm like this, but in the page on the other page, yeah, they grab on the other side like this.
From here to here.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because I've tried to draw it in the same way as the page before, but I didn't like how it did how it did appear. Okay. So
if Nemesis is pulling the man, he would want to hold him the way we see it now. And if he was holding him the way we saw it on the previous page, he wouldn't have the same force when he pulls the man and throws his head forward.
exactly, but he had his arms raised, so he cannot take this way.
Maybe, let's see, maybe between the previous panel, between the previous page, right? Between that panel and this panel, there's a moment. And maybe he actually goes like this, really fast.
Maybe. It may be. Yeah. So there was this mistake made on purpose.
You call it a mistake, and technically it may be a mistake. I think a term we might use is continuity error, like in a film where, in the long shot, someone's standing in front of a table and there's a cup, and then in the medium shot, the cup is moved over or already in their hand, and sometimes those can be distracting. But I think in this scene, it still, even though technically it's a mistake, it still agrees with the scene, because it's not as if Nemesis is suddenly standing on the other side of the swamp, wearing a tuxedo. Yeah. This page has a giant sound effect, crack, splat, and another sound effect, rip. And we had assumed that the sound effects were from Russ Wooten, the letterer. But since we're seeing it on the artwork before the word balloons, that means
I've drawn them, yeah. Because I think sound effects are a big part of the composition. I think they're important in the panels, so I I wanted to draw them in the first place.
Have you, in the comics that you have drawn previously, in the self-published comics you made after school, or in school, did you study lettering or calligraphy, or no?
No.
Okay. It's just because you can also draw letter forms in a stylized way. Like that's it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's like that. I don't know if I made a good job or if Russ hates me, but
making his life easier. One less
Yeah,
thing to do.
I think you're making his life easier. And we don't know Russ Wooten. We have not met him and we have not interviewed him. So this is just a guess. This is just an assumption. But I feel like a letterer who's a professional, if the artist does a little bit of the lettering and it makes the work look better, and if it agrees with the work, the letterer is going to be okay with it. The same way that your color artist is going to be okay with you doing gray tones, which will show, where a shadow is supposed to be versus a highlight. But you should ask him.
If it makes his life easier and
Okay.
and you do a good job, he'll be happy. As long as you're not trying to take any of his money, he'll be fine with it.
No. But sometimes I forgot about the sound effects, and he drawn them. I don't know right now which ones were drawn by him, but
here are some in issue 4, which look very similar, but also just a tiny bit different, subtly different. And this isn't a quiz or a test. You don't have to point to any one sound effect and say if you did it or if Russ did it. I have a question. Partly because of the page we're looking at right now. There's a lot of blood and a lot of killing and torture and maiming and violence in this miniseries. And it is both exciting because we're grown-ups and these are villains. These are not the heroes. And villains do terrible things. And like you said, in the 1980s G.I. Joe cartoon, Cobra Commander is goofy. At the same time, this amount of killing and violence and blood is more than we've ever seen in any G.I. Joe comics. So can you talk about how much of this is in the script, how much of it you're adding or interpreting, and did you get any feedback from Skybound about this depiction of violence and killing and blood?
I don't know. They were all in the script. They were all in the script, and I didn't add anything. It's just that they were all like shadowy or just silhouettes. We didn't see much the exact contact between the between the two parts. Maybe the weapon and the flesh. But sometimes there were some correction, like if you look closely at the ink page right before this. Okay, in the second panel we see the arm stomps. Okay, that we see clearly. Okay, but they didn't like it because yeah, we did see the how to say, the cut part.
Yeah, the actual
the ripped off part. Yeah, with all the blood.
in the colored version, the arms have been moved off to the edges of the panels, so they almost look like arms that belong to someone else off the panel on the left and off. You don't actually see the actual tear.
Yeah, they're moved away just because this way we don't see the ripped off parts. Yeah.
Right.
You mentioned studying Goya. I guess that is he's an artist who's known for gory images, I guess. So it's
Yeah.
interesting, interesting crossover.
Well, yeah.
Please.
Yeah. No, I always liked horrors, horror style, horror vision, horror, this kind of stuff. These gory images. I even one time suggested a scene for Cobra Commander, but it was deleted.
What is that scene?
No, I don't know if I can talk about it.
Oh, okay. Mark, are there some other pages that you can put up on screen? Because Andrea sent us some pages, and I feel like there might be specific things to talk about. So
yeah, we haven't. Yeah, here's one of the pages on screen now from issue 3, but we haven't specifically talked about or sort of drawn out the process that you follow. So what we're seeing from your inked pages, your grey tone pages, are digital images. But do you work exclusively digitally? Do you do anything on pencil and paper?
No, it's all 100% digital. I've tried to print off some issues and try to draw on them and then make them digitally, but it was a loss of time. So I drew them all this way. Yeah, I've made four layouts a page, and then I cut them and resized them to the actual size.
are you drawing? You're drawing with a stylus and a tablet. Do you have a big tablet next to your computer? Or are you drawing on a small tablet that is your computer? What program are you using? What hardware and software?
Well, I've drawn all of this with an iPad, the same iPad I am talking with you.
Okay.
And I use Clip Studio mostly. Well, I use Clip Studio, period. Because I don't like, I didn't like before this software, I didn't like how Photoshop I don't like the Photoshop strokes, brush strokes, like it filled on my hands. It didn't quite seem right to me because I had a lot of drawings on a. Well, let me grab you. I had this.
Hey, that's not a computer. That's a book with paper in it.
I don't use it from. Like it's been ages since I don't draw from here. So I use a lot. Yeah, there's old sketches. I'm used to draw from this size, so it wasn't a problem to draw this with an iPad.
So the pens and brushes in Clip Studio, there's a greater variety, or the feel of them, the reaction on the quote paper.
No, it's just the feeling. It's just the feeling. Just about that.
Okay.
If we have to talk about the variety or the maybe more realistic style, I think the best right now is Procreate, I guess. I've tried to use it, but I don't like it so much. And I think for comics, I prefer using Clip Studio.
I have a friend who draws comics, and I think he goes back and forth between paper and Photoshop and Procreate. But Mark, I think we interviewed someone who was using Clip Studio. Maybe I'm making that up.
Oh, well, there's Pepe Larraz, Davide Gianfelice.
Oh,
There's a bunch of even his name is no, I don't remember right now, but there's a bunch of artists who
right.
use Enrique Fernandez. He
Okay.
used Clip Studio also.
You sent us this page and the page that comes after it, the 2-page spread with the big reveal. Was there something specific that you wanted to say about these 3 pages, or these were just a good example of all the crazy stuff?
I just like them. Well, these are the few pages I like. I don't usually like my own work, but this time I put some more effort in these 3 pages, and I think it came out quite good.
So these 2 pages right now with Nemesis revealing himself, in the black and white version, the values, the lightness or darkness of the sky behind everyone, the sky is lighter than the foreground and the middle ground, than all the characters. And then
Yeah.
Mark, can you toggle to the color? Okay, so now in the color version, I guess the value of the light blue in the sky is still brighter than a lot of the characters, and maybe the characters pop because of the skin tone. But some of what I think I'm seeing in the black and white version is you just separating foreground from background, and either not necessarily saying this has to be light and this has to be dark, or allowing Annalisa Leone to change that. Am I interpreting this correctly?
This time I've genuinely made a mess, a big mistake with the values. So I had to tell Annalisa, hey, I've made a mess with the values right now, so please correct them. It was night, it wasn't day.
Okay.
And in the Energon universe books in Duke and in here, a lot of the reference that is being used, the new G.I. Joe classified figures,
Yeah,
6-inch
the classified toys. Yeah.
Toys, where they exist, like Buzzer, Ripper, Zarana. But some of them, they don't exist, like or don't exist quite yet, like Nemesis. So it was very interesting to see what your take on Nemesis in particular would be, because we've not yet seen the classified toy. What was your approach to how you wanted Nemesis to look?
Well, I thought that must be a bit more realistic than the animated series, and I tried to make it more resemble more Cobra, so more like this organic armor. Now this one, oh yeah, because of the maps. Yeah, this is the first issue, and when I first read it, I couldn't wrap my head around all the character movements around the environment. So I had to make a whole map with step-by-step movements of the various characters, because like Cobra Commander and Reaper, yeah, they had to be close enough to see the wearers burning, but far enough to not get involved in the other Dreadnoks escape. So I had to make this path on the right, on this separate island, so Reaper couldn't escape with them. But this is just I think I've sent you 4 and 5 of the but there were 10 actually.
They were
Wow.
wow.
So it's like the high level bird's eye view of the choreography, step by step. What's happening?
Yeah,
in this
I had to do
environment?
it because
Where are the people?
Yeah, I had to do it because I would have hated to not know where they were in the various scenes.
In the letters page of issue 4, editor Sean Minkowitz says, one of the joys of working on this issue 3, was when artist Andrea Milana sent us a detailed map to break down the fight choreography. He went above and beyond to show all the combatants positioning as the battle made its way around the Dreadnoks compound.
Oh, yeah. This is
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
Oh, okay. Yeah, and now you've seen it.
Well, the soft cover collection of the miniseries, I'm sure, will not have these map pages because the initial reprint collection of the miniseries doesn't have any extras. But hopefully, if there's some bigger deluxe collection of this miniseries or maybe other stories, maybe this can go in the back with sketchbook pages and behind the scenes comments.
I hope so. Oh, sorry.
When you were drawing the Cobra Commander miniseries, were you aware of what Tom Riley, the artist, was doing on the Duke miniseries? And were you looking at anything he was drawing and coordinating?
Sometimes, if I had to draw something from Duke, they send me just the references from that particular moment, just 1 or 2 pages, but not the whole issues.
When you were drawing
when we spoke to Tom Riley, he said that he designed Mercer on the page that he first appeared on in Duke #1. So I'm guessing that page made its way to you so that you could then draw Mercer, I guess Destro as well.
Yeah, you're right.
Andrea, when you were drawing these 5 issues of Cobra Commander, how often would you talk to the editor? How often would you talk to the writer?
Well, once a week, I guess. When I had to send them the layouts and the finals, but just a few times I had to contact them to ask them questions or references. It was quite flawless all the time.
And
the draft on this rough cover here that I put on the screen, which is Cobra Commander issue 5 cover, the rough for that, it's got a D on it, which I guess implies that there's an A, B, C, D options for the layout for the cover that you said.
Yeah, exactly. This is the 4th layout, but if I remember correctly, for the second issue, I've drawn 6 layouts, 6 different layouts. Yeah, and I've made just a few copy paste here. Yeah, I've drawn like maybe 50 or 60 different
Wow.
Cobra Commander. Yeah.
You drew so on the cover to issue 50, there's like a million troopers in front of Cobra Commander. And you're saying that you didn't just draw one and paste it all of those times. You drew about 50, 50?
Yeah, yeah. If you look closely, there's some copy paste, of course. I couldn't make it one by one, of course, but they're quite different. And I couldn't even mirror them one side to another because, well, they're not like, okay, all the left-handed on the right, all the right-handed.
When did you finish your part of issue 5?
When did I finish? You mean on the calendar?
Yeah.
Okay, I finished it middle April. Okay.
Middle of April.
Yeah.
So it came out
yeah.
pretty soon after you finished.
Yeah. I've tried to make one issue a month, but sometimes there were some corrections to make, so it was delayed. The last issue was delayed, in fact. But I've always tried to, I've always tried to ink 1 or 2 pages, sometimes 3 pages a day. So I've made my best to send in time.
We've got a page here on screen at the moment from the last issue. Was there something that you wanted to call out on this particular page?
Yeah. The fact is, when I first drawn Pythona, I wasn't used to draw female characters. I'm still I still have a long way to draw them well. But in the first issue, I've read some complaints about her being not enough sexy, not sexy enough, and and I said, okay, I don't know why you feel the urge to feel sexually attracted by a serpent woman, but okay, I'll try to I'll try to draw her better, and I don't know. Oh, this was the not the last version, because in the last version she has the she has not the armor. Yeah, there was a last minute change. And then they asked me to redraw, restyle that organic arc. I don't know how to call it. The one they use. Yeah, the one they use as a space machine. I've tried my best to draw it seriously, to draw it in a way that didn't feel weird or I wouldn't say ridiculous, but you know what I mean.
Believable.
Yeah, believable. Yeah, and it was hard.
I was trying to think of the right word, because obviously realistic probably isn't the right word.
No,
believable.
No.
Believable probably is.
Mark, you have observed that you have seen Andrea's name attached to an upcoming issue of Destro. I suppose, so are you drawing all of issue 3 or part of issue 3 of Destro?
So it's been announced, so I think I can talk about it maybe. But
Yeah, it's definitely in the solicits.
Okay, I'm drawing all of it. Yeah.
Wow. Well, to the extent that when the artist changes, it can be a surprise in the reading experience. Um, that might be a little disappointing, but I think I speak for both Mark and myself that we very much enjoyed your work on Cobra Commander, and we're hoping to see your work again in the Energon universe. So whether it's a single story or several issues in a row, if you're helping with a scheduling conflict or signing on for a long time, it's nice to see. It'll be nice to see more of your work. So that's
Thank you
good
so
news
much.
for us.
Thank you so much again.
One of the big thoughts when you finish a series like Cobra Commander and you enjoy it so much, it's like, that was great, but when am I going to have more? More? and thankfully we won't have to wait too long to see more of your work.
Have you drawn this issue of Destro already? Are you working on it now, or will you start it soon?
I'm working on it right now. Yeah.
Is your schedule to draw this issue of Destro about the same as drawing an issue of Cobra Commander?
No, I have like a few more days. Yeah.
More time.
Yeah, I have more time to draw it. Yeah.
Okay. So Cobra Commander was initially advertised as a horror series, and there's, monsters and faces getting torn off and guys' heads getting torn apart when someone else slams his forehead into it, and lots of blood. Destro looks to be more action or military espionage, spy, robots, government buildings, marching armies. Are you finding? How are you finding the different tone of the Destro series in your drawing and your storytelling?
Well, my comfort zone is drawing organic horror. So, as you said, is a totally different thing from Cobra Commander. Well, not totally, but it's quite different. But when I had the opportunity to work on something like this, something far from my comfort zone, I think is a good way to me to improve. So I draw them gladly.
I'm guessing if you are drawing,
it's a different writer it's a different writer as well. So it's Dan Waters versus Joshua Williamson, and every writer is a little bit different in terms of how they lay out the story in the script.
Yeah, it's very different. I would say Dan is way more. I don't know. It gives me more free space. I don't know how to say it. It's not better or worse. It's just different. That is less specifying. Okay.
Yeah.
More room for interpretation.
Yeah, maybe I would say, yeah.
So looking at the catalog where we order comics, issue 4 of Destro has not been listed yet. So I'm assuming if you are drawing anything beyond issue 3 of Destro, you can't say. So we won't ask you, but we will say that we wish the artist who's done the first 2 issues of Destro all the best. And if you draw any more than issue 3 of Destro, we would continue to be happy to see more of your work in the Energon universe.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
I said that we'd had enough images on screen, but I did put in my slideshow, I did put this page, which is probably my favorite from the series, of
Okay.
image of Cobra Commander zooming in with all of these sound effects of carnage happening around him, with this smiley face drawn on him. And I think it's such a powerful image for a design for Cobra Commander. I just wanted to,
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't necessarily a big question here. The question is, I think it's great. Do you have any thoughts?
Oh, thank you. In this page, I've tried to mimic not just a zoom, but a dolly zoom. It's something a bit different because the focal length, I don't know how to say in English. Yeah, that's right. So the foreground comes further, while the background goes backwards. It's not all zoomed in.
If I may clarify, because I have shown the difference to my students. A zoom is one piece of glass in the camera moving further or closer to another piece of glass. A zoom is taking the image and making it bigger.
Yeah.
And a dolly is when the camera physically is on a cart or a truck or sitting in a wheelchair, and the camera physically moves closer or further. And so, as you're describing the focal length, in a zoom, the space between the foreground character, like me, and all of this background stuff behind me, as I get bigger, it gets bigger in the same amount. And in a zoom, if the camera comes closer to me, the distance between me and the background changes.
Yeah, so in the end, we have like a grandangular.
What's that word?
Grandangular?
Huh.
In Italian is grandangolo. So,
okay. I'd like to learn this word.
Oh, wide angle lens.
Wide angle lens, right.
So in the end, we have like this wide angle. Yeah.
Yeah. So the background, the trees have dropped out.
Yeah, because they're so far away.
This was in the script that someone would paint a smiley face on Cobra Commander's mask, that someone would carve this line into it. So in drawing this this version of the mask, you are following the script, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Mark, maybe there's your question, right? Is this crazy smiley face in the script? Yes, this crazy smiley face in the script.
But though in the back of the book, Joshua Williamson says that he kind of regrets it being wiped off the next issue because it was so cool.
Yeah.
The execution of it possibly exceeded the writer's expectations.
Yeah. I had to draw Cobra Commander with a tissue in his hands in the first pages.
Are you, Andrea, will you attend any conventions or festivals in Europe this summer? Have you been invited? Do you want to travel to any? Are you too busy?
Well, I'm not used to go to conventions, but with my manager and our drawing group, let's call it like this, we'll attend the New York Comic Con this year.
Oh.
Yeah. First time in New York. Well, when I was like 1 year old, I've been to Orlando and Miami, but it doesn't count, I guess.
That's interesting you're mentioning. All right, so New York Comic Con this year is October 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. It's funny you mentioned that because my friend lives in New York, and just last weekend he said, "Come to New York so we can go to New York Comic Con." And I'm undecided. Before I owned a comic book store, I would go to New York Comic Con, and it was a lot of fun. And once I owned a comic book store, a little of the magic is gone because I don't need to buy things as much at a convention. But if I went, I would get to meet you in person, and maybe I'd hold a cardboard cutout of Mark, and the three of us could take a photo.
That would be funny.
I could bring a Talking Joe hat, and you could hold it. So any conventions or festivals anywhere else around the world this summer or fall, or just that one?
Just that one for now. I don't know if I'll go to somewhere else.
You mentioned other artists in a group. Are these artists who your same manager represents all of you?
Yeah.
Who are the other artists? Have they drawn projects that we know of, and how? Where are they?
Well, I think maybe you know Ivan Fiorelli is working for Marvel. He's drawn like Venom and Fantastic Four.
Okay.
And Simone Ragazzoni has drawn Power Rangers. And right now I think he's drawing Dune.
Okay.
Yeah. But the others are just right now in this industry, in the American publisher industry.
Okay.
So I don't think you know them.
How many people in total?
10, 15.
Oh wow.
I don't know the exact number.
And you're not describing people who share a studio. These people are all over Italy, or they're all over Europe?
We are all over Italy, yeah.
Okay.
I'm the only one here in Sicily.
Do you ever get together in person?
Yeah, sometimes, like in Lucca the last year. Lucca Comics and Games.
That's a festival.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the second biggest in the world after the Tokyo Comic-Con.
Okay.
But it's not well organized, actually. Yeah.
Organized chaos. It's like takes over an entire city.
Yeah, the entire city.
I've not been, but I've seen.
All right, so you're going to attend New York Comic Con in October with your manager and some of the artists in your group.
Exactly, yeah.
Does the group have a name?
There's a page on Instagram that is not very active. It's called Oni Robot Studio.
What's the first word? Only Robots?
Oni, like the Japanese demon.
Okay, ONI, Oni Robots
Yeah.
Studio. So my impression is when an artist is a guest at a festival in Europe, the expectation is when someone brings them a book to autograph. I have heard that in Europe, an artist draws a very nice finished drawing in the book, that it's not a quick sketch. It's not just an autograph or a signature. Is that your experience?
What experience? Well,
okay.
As a reader, yes, but as someone who draws, I don't have any experience like that.
Okay.
Well, some small experiences when I was self-publishing, but they were very small.
Okay.
But yeah, as you said.
Well, when you come to New York and you're sitting at a table and there's hopefully a very long line waiting to get you to autograph comics and sketch for people.
Some of the 100,000 people who have bought a copy
No,
of
don't
Cobra
say it.
Commander.
That's right. New York Comic Con gets. I haven't been in a couple years, and the building where the convention takes place got renovated, and I hear there's a lot more space. It used to be very crowded, but in America, in the United States, there's a whole range. There are artists who will sign books for free and maybe do a really, really quick sketch, like 10 seconds or 30 seconds. There are artists who will charge a little bit of money for a pretty simple sketch, and there are artists who will charge a lot of money for a more substantial drawing, like just a head or full body. And there are some artists who they only want to do a few drawings at the weekend of a convention, and so they'll have people sign up, right? And so if the artist knows it's going to take them a half hour to do a drawing, maybe they'll only have 5 or 10 people sign up for a drawing, and then their sort of their list is their time card, their schedule is full. So I wonder if you have thought about this, or if your manager has rules or suggestions.
Well, I still don't know what we'll do in New York. I think we'll adapt to what we see. We'll try to get information beforehand, and then we will adapt.
Okay.
But in Italy, yes, we have way shorter lines to get a sketch, so there's plenty of time to make one of them.
Right. I was in line once for a famous artist, and the line was very long. It was 20 people, and he was not drawing any faster, and he was not talking any less. And so he got through 4 people, and it took 45 minutes, and then he had to go to a panel, and he disappeared for an hour, and then he came back, and there were still 15 people in line, and he didn't go any faster.
Oh no. I don't think I'll be in some panel, but I'll try to be as fast as I can.
Presumably Skybound will be at New York Comic Con, and so you'll get to meet some of these people in
Yeah, hopefully I'll meet Sean, I'll meet Russ, I'll meet Ben too.
Cool.
Tom Riley said he was going, I think.
I don't remember. I know he's coming to a show in Boston in August.
Well, I hope I'll meet him too. Right now, I've met only Lorenzo, but because when I go to Rome, sometimes I go to his studio with Gigi Cavanago. Well, it happened a couple of times.
Mark, let me pass the microphone back to you because I've been asking questions.
I was just going to say, if there was anything particularly you wanted to promote. So I guess if anyone wants to find you and they're not already following you on the social media, Instagram and Twitter, you're there. So type in your name on Google. They can find you and share some great sort of updates and process images of what you're working on. Was there anything else that you wanted to promote? Yeah.
No, mostly I use Twitter or X and Instagram. I don't know. I use mostly them. That.
Is there something about Cobra Commander that we didn't ask about that you wanted to tell us about or explain? A scene or an idea or a drawing or one of your collaborators?
No, I didn't think about it, but well, maybe there was just this funny scene I wanted to post on Instagram for April Fools about this Cobra Commander with this orange faceplate. I don't know if you have in mind the old toy.
Oh,
Okay, you might have in mind. Okay.
From this one, this.
Yeah, that
Okay.
orange faceplate. Yeah.
Right. So this is his. I think it's 1990 or 1990. Yeah, I think it's his 1990 toy. So how is that in April? It's his third or fourth or fifth action figure. It's not his traditional one. So how is that an April Fool's post?
I wanted to draw a fake face reveal and draw him like the toy. I don't know if you know how it appears under the faceplate.
I have taken the faceplate off of that toy. Yes.
Okay, it's quite weird.
It's just a guy, but it's all Caucasian. There's no whites of his eyes.
Well, maybe I had another image because I've seen a lot of times this toy without the faceplate and had this massive eyebrows, small nose. It was strange. So I wanted to draw him like all seriously lifting his mask and then reveal this strange face.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm looking at a picture right now. I had forgotten. He does. All right. One version he has painted eyebrows and eyes, and another version he does not. And the version where with the painted eyebrows and eyes, they are very, very striking and very exaggerated.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't think there's anything else I wanted to say. It was a hard task to draw these issues, but it was a fantastic time with the Skybound team, and I had a lot of fun drawing it. I hope I didn't say anything wrong or I didn't draw anything wrong.
Great, and we definitely enjoyed reading it.
Yes, we very much enjoyed reading each issue. We on this podcast, when we're not interviewing someone, we'll spend 2 hours talking about one comic book. So we'll talk about the cover and we'll talk about every page and we'll ask each other questions, whether we like it or whether we don't, because we're really big G.I. Joe fans. And we very much were looking forward to this. There were a lot of surprises, and the story and the art and color and the lettering did not let us down. We were thrilled by this series. So we genuinely mean this. If you draw more Energon Universe comics, or more broadly, if you draw more comics that are the kinds of comics that we would buy, we will be happy readers.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm very glad you liked it. And there's a comic I didn't mention before. I've drawn. It was a 12-page short story for heavy metal.
Oh, when was that?
Like a year and a half.
Interesting. That is a long-running, well-known magazine. How does it feel to have contributed to something with such a history? And specifically, how did you feel drawing the actual story that you drew?
Well, I was afraid, of course, It was my actual second comic in the industry, so I wasn't sure if I was uh, I don't know how to say it, if I did deserve it. Okay, but it was my total comfort zone. It was a short horror story about this forest made of bones. Of, yeah, trees made of bones. So it was amazing to draw. Yeah.
And you drew this and colored it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know still how to color properly, but I'm still learning. Yeah.
think even an artist that is about to retire is going to say that they're still learning.
Yeah, I think
You're
so.
in good company.
And a magazine like Heavy Metal, which I mean, they need to hire both famous and established artists, but also new and young artists, because they need to develop tomorrow's famous and established artists. So even if you feel like you didn't deserve it, you know, if you're the editor of Heavy Metal, every issue you've got to fill every page. And so who's someone available who's good? That guy, that new guy. Let's get him to draw a 12-page story.
Yeah, I will thank them for the opportunity indeed.
So thank you, Andrea, for being so generous with your time and telling us all about Cobra Commander and more generally the comics that you've been working on. And hopefully this was a great first experience as your first interview. We really enjoyed it. Yeah, we'll look very much look forward to what comes next for you. So when you're not talking to us, you can find us on the internet. talkingjoe.co.uk is our website where you can find us on our Facebook group, our Twitter page, Instagram, our Patreon page. So big thanks to all of our members. And Tim, where can people find you when you're not talking to me?
My G.I. Joe blog is a realamericanbook.com. My creative partners and I post video essays on television and film at our YouTube page, Atomic Abe. And I own a comic book store in Somerville, Massachusetts, Hub Comics.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mark and Tim. You've been amazing, and thanks for this interview.
You're welcome. Maybe I'll see you in New York in October.
Maybe, I hope so.
So that is us done talking to Andrea. But before we go, remember that
nobody beats Talking Joe, an international podcast.
Latest.